Hello, my name is Jamie. Welcome back to my channel. I'm new here on YouTube, BookTube, so thank you for joining me. I'm going to talk about some books today that I've read in the past that I found quite entertaining and interesting, so I thought I would share them with you. The first one is called Left to Tell, Discovering God Amidst the Rwandan Holocaust. Forward is by Wayne Dyer, and it's written by Immaculate Libigiza. This is a really good book. It's a true story, and it is hard. It's hard to read, but it's important to hear the story. I'll just read a little bit here. The synopsis from Publishers Weekly. In 1994, Rwandan native Ilibagiza was 24 years old and home from college to spend Easter with her devout Catholic family when the death of Rwanda's Hutu president sparked a 3-month slaughter of more than 1 million ethnic Tutsis. She survived by hiding in a Hutu pastor's tiny bathroom with 7 other starving women for 91 cramped, terrifying days. This searing firsthand account of Ilibagiza's experience cuts two ways. Her description of the evil that was perpetrated, including the brutal murders of her family members, is soul-numbing, devastating. Yet the story of her unquenchable faith and connection to God through the ordeal uplifts and inspires. This book is a precious addition to the literature that tries to make sense of humankind's seemingly bottomless depravity and counterbalancing hope in an all-powerful, loving God. Yeah, I read this many years ago, and I actually still remember the details. This is actually her only brother and her that survived out of her entire family. It was a quick read, an important read, and she actually has a follow-up book which I have not read, but maybe I will sometime in the future. Another book that I've read, this is one of my more recent reads, called The Agitators by, oops, I have it upside down. The Agitators by Dorothy Wickenden. 3 friends who fought for abolition and women's rights. This talks about abolitionist women and their struggle. It talks about Harriet Tubman. One interesting story in here really brings Harriet Tubman to life about when she made trips back and forth rescuing people. She was, I believe, called the Moses of her time. Rescuing other slaves after she escaped. And one trip back, she actually came back and saw her husband had remarried, and it talks about her reaction to that and really brings her character to life, really brings these women's characters to life. It talks about John Brown and also talks about women's suffrage. This is, it says, has the date on here, April 2021. This is a really, really good book. I highly recommend. I'll just read a synopsis again here on the back. This is, let me see if there's a better one here. Oh, here. In the 1850s, Harriet Tubman, strategically brilliant and uncannily prescient, rescued some 70 enslaved people from Maryland's eastern shore and shepherded them north along the Underground Railroad. One of her regular stops was Auburn, New York, where she entrusted passengers to Martha Coffin Wright, a Quaker mother of 7, and Frances A. Seward, the wife of William H. Seward. He worked for Abraham Lincoln, who served over the years as governor, senator, and secretary of state under Abraham Lincoln. During the Civil War, Harriet Tubman worked for the Union Army in South Carolina as a nurse and spy, and took part in a spectacular river raid in which she helped to liberate 750 slaves from several rice plantations. Wright, a dangerous woman in the eyes of her neighbors, worked side by side with Elizabeth Cady Stanton and Susan B. Anthony to organize women's rights and anti-slavery conventions across New York State, braving hecklers and mobs when she spoke Frances Seward, the most conventional of the three friends, hid her radicalism in public while privately acting as a political advisor to her husband, pressing him to persuade President Lincoln to move immediately on emancipation. This is really good. I highly recommend that book. Another one, many of you have probably heard about this. This is The Hiding Place with Corrie ten Boom. There's also another book I highly recommend that I've read. It's called In Her Father's House, the years before The Hiding Place, which is also excellent. It would go before this book. Both of them are really good. Corrie ten Boom was a Dutch watchmaker who became a heroine of the resistance, a survivor of Hitler's concentration camps, and one of the most remarkable evangelists of the 20th century. In World War II, she and her family risked their lives to help Jews and underground workers escape from the Nazis. And for their work, they were tested in the infamous Nazi death camps. Only Corrie among her family survived to tell the story of how faith ultimately triumphs over evil. Here is the riveting account of how Corrie and her family were able to save many of God's chosen people. For 35 years, millions have seen that there is no pit so deep that God's love is not deeper still. Now The Hiding Place, well, this is obviously repackaged for a new generation of readers, continues to declare that God's love will overcome, heal, and restore. I love Corrie ten Boom. She was a great woman. Okay, another one here. This was fairly popular. Trevor Noah, Born a Crime. Trevor Noah's unlikely path from apartheid South Africa to the desk of The Daily Show began with a criminal act, his birth. Trevor was born to a white Swiss father and a black Xhosa mother at a time when such a union was punishable by 5 years in prison, living proof of his parents' indiscretion. Trevor was kept mostly indoors for the earliest years of his life, bound by the extreme and often absurd measures his mother took to hide him from a government that could at any moment steal him away. Finally liberated by the end of South Africa's tyrannical white rule, Trevor and his mother set forth on a grand adventure, living openly and freely and embracing the opportunities won by a centuries-long struggle. Born a Crime is the story of a mischievous young boy who grows into a into a restless young man as he struggles to find himself in a world where he was never supposed to exist. It is also the story of that young man's relationship with his fearless, rebellious, and fervently religious mother, his teammate, a woman determined to save her son from the cycle of poverty, violence, and abuse that would ultimately threaten her own life. The stories collected here are by turns hilarious, dramatic, and deeply affecting. Whether subsisting on caterpillars for dinner during hard times, being thrown from a moving car during an attempted kidnapping, or just trying to survive the life and death pitfalls of dating in high school, Trevor illuminates his curious world with an incisive wit and unflinching honesty. His stories weave together to form a moving and searing, funny portrait of a boy making his way through a damaged world in a dangerous time, armed only with a keen sense of humor and a mother's unconventional, unconditional love. This is a great book. Okay, now these two are by the same author. I believe these are nonfiction. Or I'm sorry, historical fiction, I believe. So this one is the first one, Shanghai Girls. In 1937, Shanghai is the Paris of Asia, a city of great wealth and glamour, the hope of millionaires and beggars, gangsters and gamblers, patriots and revolutionaries, artists and warlords. Thanks to the financial security and material comforts provided by their father's prosperous rickshaw business, 21-year-old Pearl Chin and her younger sister, May, are having the time of their lives. Though both sisters wave off authority and tradition, they couldn't be more different. Pearl is a dragon sign, strong and stubborn, while May is a true sheep, adorable and placid. Both are beautiful, modern, and carefree, until the day their father tells them that he has gambled away their wealth, and that in order to repay his debts, he must sell the girls as wives to suitors who have traveled from California to find Chinese brides. As Japanese bombs fall on their beloved city, Pearl and May set out on the journey of a lifetime, one that will take them through the Chinese countryside, in and out of the clutch of brutal soldiers, and across the Pacific to the shores of America. In Los Angeles, they begin a fresh chapter, trying to find love with the strangers they have married, brushing against the seduction of Hollywood, and striving to embrace American life, even as they fight discrimination, brave communist witch hunts, and find themselves hemmed in by China's old ways and rules. And this is the follow-up book, Dreams of Joy, and this is also about the sisters. It says here, reeling from newly uncovered family secrets and angry at her mother and aunt for keeping them from her, Joy runs to Shanghai in early 1957 to find her birth father, the artist Z.G. Lai, with whom both May and Pearl were once in love. Dazzled by him and blinded by idealism and defiance, Joy throws herself into the new society of Red China. Heedless of the dangers and the communist regime, devastated by Joy's flight and terrified for her safety, Pearl is determined to save her daughter, no matter the personal cost. From the crowded city to remote villages, Pearl confronts old demons and almost insurmountable challenges as she follows Joy, hoping for reconciliation. Yet, even as Joy and Pearl's separate journeys converge, one of the most tragic episodes in China's history threatens their very lives. Acclaimed for her richly drawn characters and vivid storytelling, Lisa C. once again renders a family challenged by tragedy and time, yet ultimately united by the resilience of love. Lisa C. is also another easy to read author, so I hope that I have recommended some books that you guys might enjoy. They're oldies but goodies, so I will see you guys on the flip side. Hope to see you again. Happy reading. Have a great day.